Yuki Tsunoda will want to move on from his weekend at Imola as soon as possible. A huge crash, the Japanese driver's second serious incident of the season after Jeddah, dominated his race, even if he managed to salvage a points finish after starting. From the pits, fortunately, he left without getting hurt. At Red Bull, however, the car's damage has raised concerns. The pressure on Tsunoda has increased dramatically as a result of the mounting repair bills and recent remarks made by Helmut Marko that have fueled the fire. 5 races into the season, might we be on the verge of yet another driver change at Red Bull? Red Bull's second seat has long been a contentious issue, but it's now a serious one. Cotton took a risk by being promoted to the senior squad, and the outcome has been, at best, mediocre thus far. Performance is no longer the only consideration. After 5 Grand Prix cost reliability, and if he's a good fit for a team vying for both the constructors and drivers, titles are the main considerations. Imola made yet another expensive error. These mishaps couldn't have happened at a worse time, since Red Bull is in dire need of every dollar to invest in upgrades, particularly as the championship race gets closer. Verstappen now trails Norris by just 7 points and has reduced the difference to 10 points from Poster. The competition for his 5th straight title is still going strong, but it's obvious he won't be able to win it by himself. Verstappen might require assistance from his teammate once more, just like in 2021 when Sergio Perez played a crucial supporting role. The key question now is if Tsunoda can step up and perform when it counts most. Or is Red Bull getting set for yet another shift? One that might completely change the team's dynamic as the season draws to a close. Who is the best driver to team up with Max Verstappen in a high-stress title fight? That may be the most crucial question. Yuki Tsunoda is turning out to be a less than ideal candidate for Red Bull's second seat. Despite a few quick bursts of speed. Every weekend that goes by makes the team's position more vulnerable. Red Bull can't afford to rely on Max Verstappen's valiant efforts for much longer. Even though he has kept the team competitive against both McLaren drivers, Red Bull needs to make significant investments in vehicle development rather than damage repair if it wants to remain competitive in both championships. That calls for both vehicles to complete sessions undamaged, which Tsunoda has had trouble with this year. As the team looks to finance crucial modifications during a crucial stretch of the season, the mounting financial burden from many collisions is starting to bite. With the most recent set of improvements, Imola marked a turning point in Verstappen's confidence in the vehicle. Red Bull was in a difficult situation where advancements on one side of the garage helped the company, but expensive setbacks on the other side hurt them. Helmut Marko spoke candidly about Senna's most recent incident. Marko underlined the seriousness of the circumstance while expressing gratitude that the driver left unharmed. He cautioned that these kinds of crashes need to stop urgently. Red Bull's spare parts stock is getting close to its breaking point as the team prepares for 3 consecutive races, including the treacherous streets of Monaco. Marko acknowledged that it was a significant setback. In Monaco, you cannot afford to make mistakes. Although we will keep helping Yuki, things are getting out of hand. The Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix may be sufficient to alter Marko's earlier assertion that Senna's seat was secure until the end of the season. Red Bull also has plenty of other options. Isaac Hayar is one such player who has been quietly establishing himself in the RB Junior squad. The teenage Frenchman had a strong P9 in the Emirates Grand Prix and qualified in Q3. He now has 7 points despite a safety car incident that went against him. And more significantly, he has demonstrated the poise and reliability Red Bull is seeking. It's interesting to note that Marko, who had previously criticized Hayar following a difficult start in Australia, has recently altered his mind. He recently stated that Hayar is the revelation of this first portion of the championship. He has been quick from the start and has made relatively few mistakes, even though he doesn't know many of the music. Marko also commended Hayar for having qualities that are uncommon in rookies, such as racecraft, tire management, and composure under duress. However, Red Bull has other names in mind for the future. As the youngest F2 race winner in history, Rising star Arvid Lindblad is already drawing attention in the sport. Given Lindblad's quick ascent and long-term prospects, Red Bull might soon have to make place for the program's future as well as for performance considerations. The pressure is increasing. Tough choices might have to be made sooner rather than later if Red Bull hopes to maintain its lead in the fierce competition for titles and keep developing the next generation of talent. It's becoming obvious that someone at Red Bull will need to move aside. Due to his lack of seat time and little Formula One experience, Liam Lawson was widely regarded as Red Bull's weakest link in the talent pool prior to Imola. However, now that Yuki Tsunoda's numerous crashes have added up, the focus is shifting significantly, and Yuki will not approve of it. Isaac Hayar is still playing well, scoring goals, appearing in Q3, and adjusting fast, but Tsunoda's expensive mistakes are seriously endangering his career. Furthermore, it is not a question of whether Red Bull will have to create way for these young talents, given Arvid Lindblad's success in Formula 2, to do that. They will need to let go of that person. Now that Honda's power is waning, the situation is much more complicated. Although Tsunoda has publicly said that his seat is unaffected by the Japanese manufacturer's involvement, or lack thereof, the reality is difficult to deny. Tsunoda might not have survived as long as he has if Honda hadn't supported him. And the barrier that once shielded Tsunoda is no longer there as Honda gets ready to leave the Red Bull camp. Red Bull has no plans to demote Yuki back to Racing Bulls, which is even more telling. That door is closed after 5 seasons in the junior squad. This circumstance is a make or break. Either he leaves the Red Bull system completely, which is becoming less and less likely, or he continues to be Verstappen's teammate in 2026. Even though Max Verstappen's future is uncertain, it won't alter that equation. Hayar is making a compelling argument, because to his quick development and steady performance after Tsunoda left Racing Bulls, he's taking advantage of opportunities and performing well under duress, which is precisely what a junior driver should do. Lindblad is still pushing the boundaries in Formula 2, and Red Bull will eventually have to elevate him to Formula 1. Not to be overlooked is the most fundamental math. 2 seats are insufficient for 3 drivers. What does this signify? For Tsunoda, then, it looks dismal right now. Lawson, who used to be the odd one out, now appears much more confident. As his old partner struggles to produce top 10 finishes and instead accrues expensive shunts, the Kiwi is savoring his time. Tsunoda's significance inside the Red Bull camp is rapidly diminishing in light of the crashes in Jeddah and Imola. This season, Carlos SC, who was previously mentioned as a potential Red Bull returnee, has also displayed indications of faltering under duress. Verstappen directly addressed this dynamic, stating that when you begin to doubt yourself both in racing and in life, bad things happen. You must give it your best, especially in a setting like this. Red Bull espouses this mindset, and it's more evident that they're using the same standard to evaluate Centred. Following Tsunoda's collision at Imola, even Jacques Villeneuve offered his opinion, indicating that it is now possible that a second Red Bull driver will be added this season. Change is unavoidable when the second driver isn't performing his job. Even when Red Bull doesn't want to do it, Tsunoda asserts that internal pressure was not the cause of his Imola crash. The group is making every effort to reduce that stress. I just tried to be a hero in Q1, he remarked, perhaps too much. Even he admitted that's no longer a valid explanation, saying, I made significant changes to the car and wasn't entirely sure how it would react. In light of all of this, Yuki Tsunoda's future seems uncertain. Red Bull is at a turning point in its history. A team culture based on fierce competition, a budget that cannot afford crashes, and a growing number of talented rookies. We therefore want to hear from you. After Imola, should Red Bull commit to a second driver change? More significantly, who is deserving of Max's second seat in 2026? Comments are below. When you're finished, remember to click on the video that is currently playing on your screen. Additionally, remember to subscribe to my